Hey guys, it's me, Mariah. Welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see, I have several blemishes on my face. It's so embarrassing. No one likes to be in front of the camera or people when you have all these breakouts on your skin, but I decided to step outside of my comfort zone because I know that a lot of you out there have the same problem, and there's nothing worse than just caking on the makeup over top of blemishes. It just draws more attention to your problem areas. So I'm going to show you guys how to get a nice flawless foundation finish even over top of these acne or blemish problems. I'm going to go ahead and cover them with a little bit of color correction using a yellow concealer. So I'm going to use some yellow tones because that will cancel out this like purplish reddish blemish on my face. And I'm just using a concealer brush to cover that up. You want to make sure to get the majority of the product on the head. I know it sounds so gross, but like on the head of the blemish, and then make sure that you take it out to the surrounding area so that it's not just there, it's just like kind of blended in. I have some little purple spots down here on my chin. I'm not sure if the camera picks all of these blemishes up, but some of them are pretty light. I'm just kind of going over with excess on my brush. This side of my face is doing good. By the way, if you've watched my videos and you've wondered what the heck this is on my face, this is a birthmark. So I'm not trying to cover it up. I like it. I think it's cool. So if you guys see me with this, it has been there since day one and it's not going anywhere. I'm gonna let that sit for a second, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go over it with a cream foundation, DNA Cosmetics foundation stick. I haven't used this in a while just because my skin's been really great, so I've been using a lighter foundation, but this is still one of my favorites. Cream foundations just kind of cover a little bit more than a liquid, so whenever you do have breakouts, I would recommend using a cream foundation. This just feels so light. I'm not really using a whole lot. I'm just blending this into my skin. This side of my face is really nice, so I'm not gonna worry about anything yet, but I am gonna work my magic on the other side. So now when I get to the area where I have the blemishes, I'm just gonna make sure I get a good amount on my brush, and then I'm gonna tap over it. You don't wanna like wipe, because then you're just gonna pick up the makeup that's underneath. So if you can see, like that just covered my skin, my blemishes up. Like I don't even see them anymore. It looks like I have no blemishes. Those were a little bit smaller on my forehead, so you know, thank God, because who wants, you know, big old blemishes on your forehead? Those of you who might have more problem areas than what I'm experiencing right now, the process is still the same. You just want to make sure that you tap over instead of rubbing it in. But again, I love this foundation because it is not cakey. Like it's so natural. I don't even know how to explain it. Now that I'm using it, I haven't used it in forever. I've used the mineral tints, but now that I'm like using this, it's kind of like, dang, where have you been all my life? All right, so now going over this side of my face, I'm gonna get a good amount on my brush again, and then I'm just going to tap over. I don't know if you can see, but that just all covered up so nicely. Again, getting a good amount on my brush. Tap, tap, tap. Make sure you bring it down on your neck, of course, to blend it in. Once you tap it over the area the blemish is, you can kind of just like spread out the remaining product. not all just like sitting there. As you can see, I left this big blemish main problem area on my face for last because I really wanted that concealer to soak in and dry a bit. You could even just lightly powder it, but I don't like it because sometimes when you apply foundation over top of powder, it gets cakey again. So the less amount of product you have to use, the better, so it's not cakey. Getting a good amount on my brush, I'm just going to tap over top of that blemish, and look how quickly it covered up. Still blending the outer edges, but making sure I'm not blending over top, because that's the area that I want the foundation to stay. And if you need to even take like a small concealer brush and just go over the head a bit, that's the area that you can just kind of like make sure the makeup is on, but only in that specific area. The rest, you don't want to have heavy makeup because again, it's just going to draw more attention to your face. Alright, so I'm getting a little closer so you guys can see, like, my face does not look caked in makeup, and my blemishes are almost like diminished completely. There's nothing you can really do about the texture. It's just about minimizing what the problem areas on your face. And I feel like we did a pretty good job of that. Now to set it all in place, I'm gonna go ahead and use Tarte's Ready Set Radiant setting spray. Now I'm just gonna take my brush. I'm not gonna add any product, but I'm just gonna go back over it now that the setting spray is on my skin. Again, this is just kind of like, as you can see, I'm not brushing, I'm just tapping. This is just really making sure that that foundation is in my skin and is not sitting on top looking cakey. If for any reason your blemishes start to pop out a bit, again, go ahead and take your small concealer brush and just go over, you know, those little areas with a little more foundation or concealer, whatever it is that you feel that you need. And now I'm just gonna add a little bit of DNA Cosmetics concealer stick in the shade Warm Honey. I'm gonna go ahead and use the same foundation brush and just blend that into my foundation. Be careful not to go over top of your blemishes because then you're just gonna be picking up the product. Now to set all of that in place, as always, I'm using DNA Cosmetics powder, the shade Bare, underneath my eyes because I don't want it to, I want to have a little bit of a subtle highlight. So I'm just gonna apply that right under my eyes very naturally. And then all the other areas that I would typically highlight, which is on my forehead, I'm just going to go ahead and go over my foundation with this lighter powder. Here on my Cupid's bow and my chin. And then right under my jawline where I would be contoured. And now using the same powder but in a darker shade, Honey, I'm going to go ahead and go all around the outer parts of my face to set everything else. I'm gonna go ahead and take my smaller brush again and go over top of this blemish here. It is popping through a little bit again. So I'm going to take a little bit of my foundation on my concealer brush and just hit that spot. And that's it. That powder that's underneath is really just going to hold on to that foundation. I'm not going to need to powder it again because it's just going to keep like picking up. You want to just leave it as minimal as possible. So I went ahead and applied my eyebrows and a little bit of mascara off camera. And I feel like that made a whole lot of a difference. Just kind of like takes the focus off of the rest of, you know, your face when it's broken out. But last thing, just to add a little bit of touch to my face, I am going to add a little bit of blush from DNA Cosmetics. I love this blush because it has a natural highlight to it, so I'm not even going to add any highlighter today, just because I feel like sometimes the highlight can just draw a little more attention to your blemishes. So I'm going to stay away from the highlight. I'm just going to pop this blush on. It's very subtle, but it does still give me a nice little highlight. I'm very natural, and my eyebrows are done, so that keeps me, you know, still feeling fresh when I have all of those blemishes on my face. I'm not even focused on them. They're very minimal. Like I said, this one here is still big. Can't make the size go away, but I can minimize the color and the focus of it. And lastly is my lips. I am gonna apply a little bit of lip product. I am going to use DNA Cosmetics lip gloss in the shade Spiced Apple. I must apply lip liner first. It's just something that I have to do. It's very matted, so I don't want to just leave it by itself. So I'm gonna line and fill them in very subtly, quickly. And then over top, I'm just gonna add a little bit of this gloss. I love this gloss. It smells amazing. And it's like iridescent-y. It's not like glittery, but it's just so nice. I don't even know. And it smells amazing if I haven't already said that. I love these lips. This is another way to keep the focus away from your blemishes. It's just, you know, putting some color on your lips. If you want to go really bold, again, that's kind of drawing the attention away from your blemishes. So one thing you really want to focus on if you do have a lot of blemishes, acne problems, you know, there's nothing we can do about it except trying to clean up our eating habits, drinking a lot of water, and getting a good skincare routine. That will most likely be my next video. So make sure to stay tuned, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in next video. Mwah.